Hey everyone, Brian Fouts here.
And Jake Fouts.
And we're here again with Kevin Day. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, Kevin.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Once again, we're talking about litigation protection, and in this video, it's going to be about how that's going to be done for business owners through trusts. So I appreciate you having you here again.
Thank you.
And as in EVG, we always talk about businesses and being business owners as it is one of the best ways to grow wealth and protect wealth. And people that we've met with that are wealthy and successful, for the most part, it's probably 99% of them have a business or of some kind. And so you're always going to hear that theme throughout EVG, but having that business set up correctly and having asset protection in place is paramount because, as we've alluded to many times already, there's going to be lawsuits, there's going to be litigation coming down the road for a business owner.
And the way I kind of look at it, you said having a business. Most people that create wealth have a business and have done it that way, but there's having a business and then there's keeping a business. And I think that's the important piece that you bring is making sure you have those things in place to make sure that you have that business, the thing that you've worked so hard to grow.
Exactly. The structures we try to create as user-friendly as possible and turnkey, so you don't, we're creating these companies or trusts, I'll over-exaggerate, to change ownership but then put them on the shelf. You want to spend all your energy on your company or companies that make money. These structures might involve a company, but they are really to isolate the ownership away from you, and we don't want you to have to tend it. And so there's a lot of people that are do-it-yourselfers that want to be involved, or we can handle all the paperwork that will maintain it and you don't have to think about it. So we have those options.
All right.
So again, kind of if you've jumped in and this module caught your attention, you want to go back to the intro on asset protection and lawsuit protection because it describes the importance of what the law sees as ownership. And irrevocable trusts are a completely separate owner from you. It's a legally recognized third-party owner from you. Unlike companies, corporations and LLCs that are separate owners from you, but they aren't an ultimate owner. They have to have a shareholder member or partner. A corp can be owned by an LLC that's owned by an LP that's owned by a corp. It won't end until it hits one of two things. A human, nobody owns you, and nobody owns an irrevocable trust. And so that's an important key concept that's covered in the intro that will help make sense of this strategy. There are many strategies that will help business owners. This is just the most universal, that it helps somebody that just has one rental or has 5 rentals and a sandwich shop or a keysmith or whatever widgets you're making. So, and it's scalable. It can protect one property or it can protect 40 properties. And we call it an equity stripping strategy. And so in our example of a married couple, and they have their automobiles, which we discussed in the W-2 section is rolling liability. Somebody gets to sue the owner of the car as well as the driver of the car. And so you keep that in your own name. You're the lightning rod anyway. Your home, and let's say you might have some rentals, and you have a checking account, and then you have your savings account, and then you have an operating business, whatever your product and service is. Hopefully you have your rentals in an LLC too, your real estate LLC. So you own all these things. We know that an irrevocable trust is a separate legal owner from you. We should be able to tell the other side, the adverse party or the judge, exactly what we've done, and we need it to work. It's a good, so we're going to have a secret company, and vernacularly it's correct. I like to differentiate secrecy from privacy. Secrets, the way I define it, is if we tell the judge about it, everything falls apart and the bad guys get to take your stuff. Privacy means that even if they know everything, it will still be lawsuit protected or still do the estate planning objectives that we have here. But because of mechanisms, we don't necessarily have to tell other people that we own it. So privacy, that's the way I define it. So irrevocable trusts, whether they're offshore or domestic, are legally recognized third-party owners. We only have two types of ultimate owners. So as an ultimate owner, whatever this trust owns, you don't own, even though you used to own it, even though this is your estate plan with you, your children, or whoever is appropriate as beneficiaries, but you do not own that. So anything that it owns, you don't, which means if you have a big lawsuit and you don't write a check that day, they're going to haul you into what's called a debtor's exam in about 6 weeks, and you'll be sworn in under penalty of perjury, and perjury is a felony. You do not want to lie to the court, get you in big trouble. You will be told what perjury is by your attorney at least once. Opposing counsel will tell you 4 or 5 times. You don't want to lie, tell the truth. What are you? So what happens at debtor's exam? All these people show up in court, they get sworn in to the judge, and then they go back into the hall. So you've got 40 people out in the hall with usually a junior attorney, not always, but the bigger firms have some junior attorney because the attorney now, they've made all the money that they can, they're going to go fry somebody else. So they have the junior attorney out there, and they've got a list of about 5 sheets of questions. And they will say, does anybody owe you money? Do you have any, where are your savings accounts? What are the bank account numbers? We're going to send the marshal there to take money out. What real property do you own? Do you own any partial interest in property? Do you own a Rolex or other fancy watch? You don't go to a debtor's exam with a nice watch on. They will take it off right there. The marshal will take it. How many cars do you have? Oh, you're married. You have 3 cars? You and your wife can each keep a car so you can drive to work to pay my client. But the other 2 we're going to take. And they don't take the old jalopy. They take the nice cars. And they can do judicial foreclosures on homes and everything else. So essentially, they ask you, what do you own? And you tell them what you own. Do you tell them what you don't own? Absolutely not. In 80% of the cases where our clients have come under a legal situation, 80% of the time, the other side has not seen the structuring we've done as related to the client, even if it interfaces with it. So they've got all kinds of documents that say Golden Mountain Lending or Black Mountain Enterprises does stuff with their business or properties. They don't know that it's related to our client. So this is where privacy comes in. So as long as there's no fraudulent conveyance, we haven't done this because we have a known existing creditor, we already hit the person in the crosswalk, we set it up when our legal seas are calm, we should be able to tell a judge all of the structuring and they're still not going to pierce it. But we just saved you $40,000 in legal fees if they don't know about it. Because if they know about it, they go, that's where all the gold is at the end of the rainbow. Let's spend a lot of money, so see if we can pierce it. And if the legal system holds up, they shouldn't be able to pierce it, but you still spent an extra $40,000. So to be able to say, this is all I own, or this is all I own, then you've just saved a lot of money. And we've had clients that have known, I've heard from the industry that the law firm's looking into me. I know what I think the incident is. They'll call me and say, remember that trust you set up 4 years ago? I want to make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And then I'll call them 3 months later and say, did you get served yet? No. 6 months later, did you get served yet? No. Because we made them a good asset protection structure can also discourage lawsuits. And this is how you do it. You can shift those assets over like the W-2. But usually, we're going to keep things mostly on this side. The operating company if you have a sandwich shop or a widget making company, it usually is related to you. You have to push the ball. You want your name all over it because I'm the one that does quality widgets. You want to buy them from Kevin Day. So this is in neon lights. This is me and mine. And I've got employees and I've got customers and I've got product or service out in the community. That's where lawsuits come from. So just like the automobile, I'm going to keep that in my own name. I'm the lightning rod anyway. But I'm going to keep an operating account as well. But I'm going to move, again, the valuable assets over here. This is my piggy bank company now. So instead of my long-term savings account being in my name, I'm going to put it in Golden Mountain Lending's name. The rentals, the rental LLCs, that's going to be a sister company. We're not going to put it in the same trust because these renters can sue. So it's a high value, but it's also high liability. So we don't want to mix assets.
Well, you just said you're not putting it inside the same trust.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
You mean the
misspoke.
same LLC?
Same LLC.
Okay.
I misspoke, yes. So absolutely, we don't want to put it in the piggy bank company, but we do want to get it away from employees, customers, and our service and our widget.
So we're talking about business protection here. We're really not moving the business over to the trust. It's the value of the business that's being moved to the trust.
Correct.
Okay.
So what we can do, there's a bunch of things that we can do, but as many of you might not know, but our legal system, the first in time is the first in right. And that's first in time, not as a time sequence or temporal, but first to the public record. So you've heard this term, usually in relationship to bankruptcy, a secured creditor or an unsecured creditor. A secured creditor is first in time to the public record. So there might be somebody before Bank of America put a lien on the house, somebody has a note that's payable, but they're unsecured. They cannot, or somebody gets a judgment, they can't go to Bank of America and say, hey, I've got a judgment, take your lien, take your mortgage off the house because I need to do a judicial foreclosure on this home. So we can do business with a second arm of our business that we technically don't own, even though it's for our benefit, and we can put liens on our operating business and our home. So Bank of America might be a first mortgage, and then Golden Mountain Lending is a second mortgage. There's no equity in there.
So there's a second mortgage or second lien for the remaining portion of the equity.
Correct. So an asset is not an asset unless there's equity in it. So this is an equity stripping strategy. So we're going to totally encumber your home, encumber any equipment or accounts receivable or anything of value in your operating company with this company that you legally aren't the owner, and you can tell the court about that, but you have the added advantage of legal deniability because they usually don't ask the right questions, and so they say, what do you own? Because we want to take it. And you don't list what you don't own, so there's all this. Now we're still concerned about these tenants, aren't we? Well, this company can equity strip these, but it can also equity strip those rentals, or 20 of them, or several operating companies. So this one fairly simple strategy of a separate third-party legal owner from you, lawsuit-proof trust, irrevocable trust, with an underlying lending company in our example. It can be an RD. If you have the right company, it can be an R&D company that sells you programs or sells you marketing plans, anything of value to get proper consideration. And we can put liens on one property or 75 properties. And so it is very scalable to a growing entrepreneur. A lot of EVG clients and our other clients come in and they often, how come my MBAs and my CPAs on staff haven't told me about strategies like this? And they come to us with a lot of stuff already and we can implement it. But those others that are just building their entrepreneurship, starting with those renters, They don't have an operating company. They're just a W-2 employee, but they've gotten a couple of rentals. That might be the time to start equity stripping that, because this can also equity strip your home and put a UCC1 against your car. So it's a scalable strategy, and it's got some boxes and arrows here, but it's actually simple because you don't have to keep on adding structures and strategies. It's just the same strategy multiplied based on what's happening in your life. The biggest job that I have as an asset protection lawyer in the estate planning arena is, this is an oversimplification, but we have 3 categories. What is zero liability? Stock and cash. That's the low-hanging fruit too. That's what a plaintiff's attorney wants. They don't want businesses, no matter how valued. They have to sell it. It's a big headache, and they're losing stuff. They don't even want properties. They have to deal with them. They want cash and portfolio. So that's definitely what we get out. The next thing is, what's super high liability? Your crane, your restaurant where one tainted food batch in an evening can get outside of insurance limits. We leave that in your name. You're going to be the lightning rod anyway. As Americans, we drive. You don't have to hit a school bus full of children to get outside of insurance limits. You can hit a car with a family of 4, and it can get, $8-9 million. So you just have the right damage. We're going to drive. We're going to keep our $1.5 million insurance, or maybe 2, but it gets ridiculous to be buying $5-6 million worth of insurance. So this is a way to compensate. My hardest part is when something is high value but also high liability. Construction person, a crane, they're worth $500,000, but they can also fall on people's property or people. So that's where that's where you might need extra bubbles, extra companies to segregate assets. So there are a lot of different strategies for business owners, and they really have to be customized. But I wanted to show you this, one, so you can put your thinking cap on. There's a lot of things that you don't know about that are actually kind of simple. You can get your head around them, and they can grow with you. And this is one that protects not only from, remember we had a problem with, we can always protect from internal liability by having more companies. The problem always is that if we get sued personally, they're coming down to take it. This is one of the few strategies that you can employ that will protect you from internal liability from your businesses, as well as external liability that are just coming to you. So this is a good strategy, a good launching point, but only one of many that we can employ.
Okay, and that's super awesome information, Kevin. And for everybody out there, Kevin and I were kind of talking about how we're going to be working through this for me, and I'm really excited about it because it allows me to continue on and work and do what I'm doing in the business, but not have to kind of always have that nagging thing in the back of my mind. If something happens, what am I going to do? I kind of know the structure. I understand that all of my assets are protected so that I can focus and be forward looking on doing the things that make me money. And do you have anything, Brian?
No, it's I was always aware of of using these structures to protect your business, but having it in your name is a concept that I actually like. Keeping your name, but moving the value of the business over here and protecting that is very new to me. I've heard of equity stripping before. This actually is a lot more clear than what I thought it was.
Most people say, I have to go to the bank and equity strip, so I'll let the bank put a lien on now. Now I have to worry about, am I making enough interest so I don't go backwards? Do I make enough interest and still tend my business? This, you don't have to tend.
And then to truly understand the power of this, how many people do you think do this or know about this strategy?
Well, I mean, if we're doing, 20 a month and been doing it since 1992.
But that's you.
Not very many.
Yeah, not very many. No.
Because we've been involved in this stuff for quite a while and talked to a lot of business owners, and this does not come up all that often. And even when it does, I'm assuming they probably either have not done it or have not done it correctly. And so this is obviously, that's why we like working with you. you know what you're doing, and this makes it very clear as well. So,
Well, I have an MBA and I have my law degree. They teach us about, economics and statistics, that part of a business. What are the guts of a business? They teach you what is an officer, director, and a manager. What are those 3 different hats that we talked in another module? They do not talk about multi-entity structures. Even though we've never done it, we know somebody that says, oh, this person does real estate rehab, but they also have a real estate management company, and they're not in the same corporations. Well, why are they doing that? You pay, I don't know how many of you have Citibank as their credit card, but if you do, you don't pay back to New York. You pay to Nevada. And the reason why, and it's not a separate branch, it's a separate company. So they're isolating companies for lawsuit protection or tax purposes. And again, if they're doing it by the law. Us little entrepreneurs can use that same law.
great. That's awesome. Well, appreciate it. That was great information. Once again, if any of the members want to contact Kevin, use the contact form to go ahead and reach out to him. And in one of the next videos you're going to see, we're going to actually talk about different types of trust structures. It's going to be great content, so we'll see you in that video.